Hello and welcome to this very special edition of Off the Cuff, OTC. And I promise you, even before we have had this conversation, that this is going to be a memorable one. Because it's once in many years, in fact, it's once in many Olympics sometimes, that we win an individual medal in India and then a silver. On top of that, we have a young woman who's 21, and with her, we have a teacher who's himself been a world champion and who now produces world champion, just like people produce cars of the assembly line, world ranked players. So, all of you, welcome to this very special evening, and our guests today, P V Sindhu, who needs no introduction. P V Sindhu, an applause to begin with, and Pullela Gopichand, so until the rise of Pullela Gopichand and Prakash before that, we never thought that we could produce world champions in any field other than billiards. There was Michael Ferreira, or snooker, or maybe chess, somewhere there. So these guys, for the first time, showed us that in a physical sport which requires so much agility, Indians could beat the world. And then came the ladies, and they haven't looked back. So Sindhu, many congratulations.
Thank you.
And Sindhu, as you can see, stands heads and shoulders above everybody anyway. So Sindhu, it's a question you should answer. I thought I'll ask Gopi, but I'll ask you first. I heard that when you went to train with Gopi, you were this small.
Yeah.
And as he started training you, his problem was that every few months you will get a bit taller. So he had to readjust his cord reach and everything. So tell us that story.
I started at the age of 8 and a half. So, and I've been with him since then. So he used to tell me before that, if you don't become tall, then you see what's going to happen now. I've become tall, then he's like, okay, enough. So I think height is an advantage in one way because of the reach and everything, so it shouldn't be a problem. But then there are also disadvantages, like sometimes when you're bending and stuff. But overall, it's not really an issue because if you can see in the country, like everywhere now, there are so many, tall ladies like Carolina Marin and also Lee Zuri. So.
But you were taller than her.
Yeah.
You were the tallest in your competition. So, Gopi, besides the fact that she kept on growing all the time, what were the other challenges you faced, and what is the potential that you saw in her when she first came in as an 8-year-old?
Well, for one, I think her parents are sports persons. Her father is an Arjuna Awardee in volleyball, and her mother is a volleyballer herself. So I knew that she would be tall and strong, and she was anyway lean growing up. So the challenge was that how to make her strong. So from a very young age, the idea was to get her off, to make her legs stronger so that when she grows up, she doesn't have problems at the international stage. And worked on it. It's been a slow, long process. Every now and then I had to defend myself when people would watch television and come and say, you need to work on her legs, it's not strong enough. She needs. It's easier said than done to develop strength for a tall athlete when she's still growing. But with her, I think the challenges were sometimes she was a little moody on court, gets very emotional on court, but just never a challenge with the work ethic though. It was something which was fantastic all through. I don't remember, in fact, ever having said her a time and she bargained with me about the timing or the training. So if she had to have a hard training, she would say, let's get done with it now rather than later. So that's the quality which I really liked about her.
For someone that young?
Yeah.
Was he a tyrant? Is he a tyrant?
I'm very thankful to him because he's sacrificed so many things and also has been really working hard. Like not only me, but then whole day he's on court training others also since morning until evening. So I think we all have to, be very grateful for his patience, one thing. So I think that's the main thing we all have to learn. Because since morning until evening he's on court, like playing with everybody. But at least we get, rest some days, sometime, but then he's always on court.
So, how do you prepare for a big match? For example, this final, you are going to play world number 1. She's a well-known player, you know her style, you know her method. What do you think the previous night?
Like normally we watch her matches. Me and Gopi sir just discuss about the strategy and how to play and what to play. So accordingly we just discuss, and then I get prepared, and before the matches also we just warm-up sessions. He'll just talk to me like, you'll have to be ready for this, or she does this and everything. So that way we prepare ourselves.
So what happened? Your first game you turned midway, you were trailing and you turned. And second game became a bit one-sided on the other side. So what did she do that changed the game? And what is it that you did not do?
Yes, first game I was trailing, but then I came back, and second game I think she started, the shuttle was a bit faster, but then I was lifting more, and then there were too many outs, and I gave her a huge lead. So by the time I covered, she just maintained that lead and finished off the game. And coming to the third game, again I was trailing 10-6, but then I came back and we changed the courts. So there was a bit, it was a bit fast, or the drift was. So by the time I realized, then I was playing differently, but then she already took the lead. So I was about to cover, and then she finished it off that way.
So which is the match that mentally you thought would be tougher? This one or the one 3 matches earlier?
I feel from the first...
You came up against the Chinese.
The
infamous Chinese.
From the first round, it was tough. It's not that, it was easy in the first round, but then... because each match was really very important, and we just thought match by match, one match at a time. So from the first round, I played against Canada, it was a 3 sets, and then I played against Thai Zuing. So each one has a different style of play, had different style of play. So we had to plan accordingly, and strategy wise also. So I feel each and every match was equally tough.
Something I think we overheard in the semi-final, where I think after the first game you said, stay focused, she's got no weapons. You said that, didn't you? So see, we were eavesdropping. So what exactly made you say that? Did you think that the Japanese was just purely defensive?
Yeah, I think at 5 feet she wasn't having much weapons, and Sindhu had enough in her retrieving capabilities to ensure that she could win the game defensively as well. And for me, the thing was, which I was telling her, was finish the first game, I want the fist up, punch in the air. I want you to finish the second game, close the match, lift your hands up, get it done, and since finish the rally, see through the end of the rally, and finish the match and see through the end of the match, because you want to ensure that the thought of winning is done with, and you're not stopping at the last hurdle and faltering there. So I just wanted her to finish the point and finish the game, and that's what I was consistently
So
doing.
what happens to an Indian athlete's mind when you get to a stage where you know a medal is guaranteed, right? Because even the media is like that, bronze guaranteed, right? We don't say, now there's a chance for gold. Everybody says bronze guaranteed. Then you get to final, everybody says silver guaranteed, right? What happens to an athlete's mind?
I think for me particularly, this time at the Olympics, when I was playing my semi-finals, before that, I was just thinking about it, because I thought this time everybody was like, okay, you play the semi-finals and bronze, but then I felt, okay, in case if you lose, then you'll also have to play the losing semi-finals. So if I had to play the losing semi-finals also, but I was thinking, okay, this time I'm not gonna get bronze because I had enough bronze. And then I was thinking to myself that, okay, this time I'm not gonna lose no matter what. This is what I thought, because I have World Championships bronze back to back. So
we are such a partisan audience, because when the other semi-finalist who lost got injured, everybody said bronze is guaranteed. You don't even have to play that match. But you don't relax like that.
Yeah. That way, yes. I mean, when she got injured, so when people said that, even we don't want a bronze like that.
Like that, yes.
So if anybody wants to win and then take it, so.
Right. So, Gopi, tell us a secret. What is it? What is the secret book you keep reading on the side?
There's some amount of strategy which I write, some amount of words which we keep, which actually help us to focus and get back to things. So I just want her to read those things to feel, and some of it is very simple stuff in the sense it's just that I am rock solid. Nobody can defeat me, and I'm powerful. And you walk that, you walk the talk, and you kind of go out there and you just breathe in and you feel strong, and you reiterate that in the middle of the match when there is a doubt, and you say, no, I can't lose, and it's just that. So the thought was that at the end of the day, it's sport. You win, you lose. It's not really in our hands, but at least the effort should be there till the last, and it should be there that we don't believe that we are losing, and no matter what. And that's all I think is in our hands.
So when you were reading out of that book and it looked like you were chanting, could she hear you, or you were chanting? We thought you were chanting some mantra to keep yourself calm.
Well, I think that was really necessary as well. But I think there was so much of pressure. I think for me personally, this Olympics, I think it just reminded me of the Olympics which I lost in 2000. And I had these memories about how I felt, at least not the world, but at least I felt I was close to getting a medal in 2000, and I messed it up. And I came back like a zombie in the sense that I didn't know what hit me for about 3 to 4 months. I just had this weird feeling when she was playing the quarterfinals that she's going to get to the semifinals, and there's another 2 matches, and I just wanted to win this one match and get a medal, and finally let's get done with. I didn't want to do that semi-final business of losing semi-finals, I said first get the medal. And yeah, there was pressure, and for me, I think what was important was whatever body language I do should be what Sindhu wants to see from me. So whatever I was doing with her back to me was for me, but whatever I was doing when she was looking was for Sindhu.
Mr. Gopichand, you've changed the saying. Behind every successful woman, now there is a man. We can say that. I have a question to Mr. Gopichand especially. What is that in you keep producing champions? You were the one who trained Saina Nehwal. You yourself were a champion. You've trained Sidhu. You've also trained Kashyap, whom we are seeing in the future as a potential medal winner. What is that Guru Mantra in you?
When I was an athlete, I was a player. I was supported by a lot of people, learned things from a lot of people, and somewhere down the line felt that if I could do it, others could do it. Whatever I've learned, I try to give it back, and when I see somebody, I just feel they have so much of potential, and I wish they could see what I could see. And I keep pushing, and God has been kind.
There's a lot of talk about how there's complete lack of support and sport infrastructure for all other sports in this country, except cricket and perhaps to an extent tennis. Do you concur with that view?
Well, if I were to say, I think the kind of support which badminton has got, and all sport, I think, has got in the last few years has been unprecedented. I think we are sometimes guilty of not giving credit. But I think the government of India has done a phenomenal job, and the Sports Authority of India has really given us support. I think thanks to their unprecedented support, unconditional support in a way, that 120 athletes have qualified for the Olympics. We sometimes miss the point about the medals, But I think to get so many of them qualified in itself is something very good.
We should also get Gopi to tell us a little bit about the academy you've built, because I believe you've designed it in such a way that every trainee looks at last thing the trainee sees is the coach going to sleep, and the first thing the trainee sees is the coach waking up.
Well, the idea was that to get all of these in one place, to have whatever is required inwards. So because when I was playing, I used to have to go to the gym separately, to the running track separately, swimming pool, food, shuttles, coach. At least one thing we have done, and this is credit to the academy's admin, is that from the day we have started coaching in 2004 in temporary courts till date, one thing which I'm really proud of, and this is not something which Gopichand the coach, but Gopichand as an academy, we've been as not even one single session in the last 12 years. None of my players has had a problem with shuttles or coaches or courts or gym or anything, and that's really been tribute to the academy's infrastructure.
Because badminton facilities are world class in India now, aren't they? Is there any country which has facilities better than ours right now?
For me, I feel the Gopichand Academy in which I'm training, it's been fantastic, and the infrastructure there has been very good, and especially like if we want anything, like there was nothing that, okay, we want this. Before only it was, everything was there.
Having said that, I think we have countries like Japan or Germany. Some of these countries, I wouldn't say all of them, but some of these countries have definitely better support systems in terms of, say, a scientific backup.
Right.
The kind of
sports medicine backup.
Sports medicine backup, which is a nutrition backup of a higher. So there is definitely scope for improvement on those areas. Great infrastructure doesn't produce players. It's
right.
More to that, in the sense what you need is quality coaches and passion, and that's what produces. A little bit here and there in infrastructure doesn't really matter so much.
My name is Ruhan Chopra. I study in Vasant Valley School in class 6. And my question is, and congrats first. And my question is to the both of you. Like when you're losing a match, like let's take like you're losing a match, are you going to be like, let me just give up, and like if you do not, or you aren't like that, then what motivates you to like get going?
Okay. The main thing, we go onto the court thinking that we have to win the match. So there's no second question that, okay, we'll have to give up or I want to give up, because you know, once you go onto the court, anybody will try to win or will think that, okay, I have to win. So it's never that, you know, I want to give up or I'll give up. It is tough. I know, I understand it's very tough sometimes, you know, when you play or you get tired. But then I feel you've practiced so much and you've really trained hard. You have worked hard for what? To win. So there's no question of giving up. That's what I feel.
Thank you so much for bringing laurels to our country.
Thank you.
You know, when I look at the two of you, I see a very soft, placid, tranquil demeanor. So modest, so humble, so soft-spoken. Now, when you're on the court, you got to be aggressive. You know, you need to see a fighter on court. Now, how does that transformation come? And does your that demeanor ever come in your way on court?
Well, I guess if you hit the shuttle so hard, you're not left with any aggression outside the court.
Do you sometimes hate the other person on the other side? You want to hit the shuttle in her head or something?
Sometimes I get angry, like, you know, when I lose points, when I tend to lose points, but then my coach Gopi says, like, it's okay, never mind, it's over. It's over.
Do you curse sometimes?
Not really.
Not really. Oh, now you're 21, you can.
You said that the Indian Sports Authority, government, the sports ministry, has been extremely supportive and fantastic and that we could have 150 athletes selected. So why is it, there are this has two questions, this particular one. One is, does it follow the same norms and discipline as other countries' sports authorities do? If so, why do they run away with the medals, and with 150 from 6 billion, from 1 billion, we just get 2 medals? Congratulations to the two, thank God they saved our honor. Shouldn't we be coming back with at least 30 or 40 medals?
2002, this is post All England, when I qualified for the for the Asian Games. I went, this was like I was the All England champion in 2001. 2002, I went to the Asian Games without no coach and no practice partner. So I go out there, I get time, I have a reporter friend of mine who was in Star. He became my practice partner and he became my coach for the team, and this was in 2002 post thing. Considering that to what we are here is a phenomenal improvement. Yes, what I've said is that the top players have had a lot of support and fantastic, but where things need to work out is really the grassroots, really base infrastructure. There hardly anything is happening. We have a lot of people, we can go back and forth on, it's a state subject. It's not a center subject, it's a state subject.
You need people to build it. You need institution builders, and that's where people like Gopi, people like Prakash come in, because they became champions. They could have rested on their laurels, but they dedicated their lives. They built these wonderful academies, and I really think that the big thing is they are so big-hearted, because they are now producing champions, and it takes a big heart for a champion to bask in other champions' glory, right?
Well, I think school sport is an important thing, and kids need to play. I think fundamentally every kid needs to run around, he needs to jump, he needs to throw, he needs to kick. He needs to grow like that till an age of 12 and 13, and then when he is good, then he can go pick up whichever sport he wants. But that sports culture is not there. Fundamentally, I believe that we have a huge population, our kids need to play, and the data needs to be taken out so that the best kids and the most talented kids are put to special coaching, and then a big bunch of them are there instead of the small group which we have, which needs to be progression like this, and then maybe a small pyramid. But at the moment you have a pyramid like this where everybody is dropping out of the system. People get out and not play. So I think the larger the kids, that's what's important. So school sport, kids sport, family sport, everybody's sport. Sport for all. I think that's very, very important.
So this conversation is now warming up, like the second game in a final match. So please don't go away. Wait, we'll be right back after this break with Gopichand and P V Sindhu.
I just wanted to ask two things. You know, at the end of the final, you went across and you picked up her racket very respectfully and kept it on the side, which I think was an amazing gesture. What made you do that? Was it the respect for the game, or was it the relief that the finals are now done? And the second question I had is, what is your view for the future now for yourself? Like, do you already feel that you want to start preparing for the next Olympics, or you want to enjoy your ice cream right now, as you said in your interview? So, yeah.
Yes, as you told, yes, of course.
I can tell you she just ate a kathi roll.
When the match was over, you know, even she played really well. And I think overall it was a good match, I feel, and even she gave her heart out. And after the match was over, I was like, okay, I've done well, because first I didn't think that I'll get a medal, but then, you know, ended up with silver. So I went to appreciate her, told her congrats, and even she said that you really played well and the whole week was brilliant for you. So I was like, okay, thank you. But then I think overall in a match, you know, one should win and one should lose. So I think it was her day that day, and she really played very well. So I went and congratulated her.
So where do you see, sir, Indian sport in 5, 10, and 15 years down the line? Are we going into the league of top 2, 3, 4 countries in the medals?
Well, I think the way the positiveness we've had from the highest people, like the Prime Minister, if you see, I think has spoken about sport, met people with interest, and he has shown this great interest to kind of bring sport at the Olympic level to a higher platform. And that makes us very positive that things are going to improve. And a lot of people are slowly understanding sport. The more champions we produce and the more they come back and give back to the sport, the more chances of us doing well at the world level is there. And yes, you need to be, like for medals, you need to be smarter as well, in the sense you need to spend your money. Most of the countries win their medals in a certain number of sports, and that's where they get their medals tally up. Not necessarily that we approach it the same way with medals as our only target, but I think largely sports culture as our target, and medals are a byproduct of a large number of people playing and being monitored well and the best talents being taken out. That's the idea which, at least for me, is very, very important.
If you had a chance to play that final all over again and you had a choice of either playing Carolina Marin or Saina Nehwal, who would you prefer to play?
I would have preferred that she played Saina.
We would have got both medals.
Both medals would have been ours.
Gold and the silver would have been ours. And both are your awards.
Yes, I think that's something which I would really love to see, is that we have many more players who compete at the highest level, and then there's a day when the gold and the silver and the bronze all are ours, and hopefully I'll get to see it in my time.
Vishen Paji doesn't forget and doesn't let me forget, and I can never forget that one day I was driving past Okhla and I saw some people playing, I think one of the pitches there. And I said, who's this gentleman? He's bowling just like Vishen Singh Bedi. And I think you were bowling with a bunch of kids you were training that day. Many years ago, and I was on a motorbike. It's their day. But Vishen Paji, if I can bring you in the conversation, talk about Gopi and talk about Sindhu. How is a champion player different from others? Because lots of people play, but some become champions. And how is a champion teacher, coach different from others? Because not every coach produces champions.
Creating a champion in Indian circumstances, I like to think whatever happens, whatever good happens in Indian sport is by sheer providence.
By sheer providence?
Yes. And in their case, and in Gopi's case, it's a remarkable commitment. And their intensity, I was watching the game throughout. The intensity was showing on the face. I just would like to ask him, because he kept on telling her, I was reading about it, go on, shout, you know? Shout, and the way that Spanish girl was also screaming her lungs out. I thought she was terribly, terribly arrogant, and I honestly wanted her to win, but that didn't happen. But the shouting business, Gopi, are we trying to pick something from the Australian sledging park? Well,
I think she is a great player, Carolina Marin, and some of the traits of greatness is to stretch the rules to the limit. And she knows that, and it's the Olympics. She knew how much it was needed, and she used it. And I think it's important that we learn it and we don't complain and we get back to her stronger next time. And that's the only way of tackling it.
But some people said that she made Sharapova sound like a nightingale in comparison.
Well, I think whatever it takes, the stake is the Olympic gold, and if I had to do it, I would do it.
I think the other wonderful thing is that, in badminton, unlike in many other sports, we have now internal competition. So, Saina, are there other people coming up?
Well, yes, we have good talent coming up. I wouldn't really want to take up names because I'll miss some. for sure. But I think the more we have as a bench strength, it is very important. I think to keep the champions, we need to ensure that there's good push coming from behind. I think that's the only way the champions are also alert.
Because we also have boys now.
I think Srikanth did very well in what Sindhu has done. We sometimes forget the fact that Srikanth beat the world number 5.
World number 5.
He got to the quarterfinals. He's like the top 8 athletes, top 8 players in the world. He almost...
And nearly beat Lindan.
Nearly beat Lindan there. So I think both of them, Srikanth and Sindhu, Srikanth is 23, Sindhu is 21. The young, and hopefully we'll have a couple of more Olympics and maybe many more big events from them.
Do Indians have any natural attributes that makes them good at badminton?
Well, for many years, when I started coaching, I think there was this notion that the Oriental people
have better hand-eye coordination.
In my opinion, done well, Indians are the most suited for our sport. And badminton, racket sport, I would say, all racket sports, Indians are really good at, and I believe it. I don't know. I don't have any scientific backup, but I believe it.
My question is to Gopi sir. When you when you were distraught after you narrowly missed an Olympic medal, but then after that you produced like 2 champions, did you feel that you also had won a medal?
Of course, that's the closest I could get to having won my own medal, right? So I was living my dream
he won
through
everything
them.
else in the world. You know, he was the world champion of his time. Also, since you talked about Australia and Australians a little bit, and Australian style, we have a question from the Australian High Commissioner for you.
First of all, congratulations, my warmest congratulations from all Australians on your great achievement. As the High Commissioner for Australia, one thing I know about Australia is that we encourage people from a very young age to play sport. I wondered whether you had any reflections on the role that sport has played throughout your life and the role of sport in the community in guiding people to achieve what you've been able to achieve.
Yes, one thing is that, like for me, the best coaches, so I wish that definitely there'll have to be many more coaches like him, and definitely the sport is gonna grow up. And I think in India, basically, the badminton as a sport has been a very good recognition now, and also when the league matches were going on. So before that, it was only like, you know, other sports, or badminton was like, okay, one of the... But then after these leagues, so I think there was much more support for the youngsters who were coming up. So I think that should be there, and also, yeah, as I told you, there should be many more coaches like.
What was your training schedule like? And also we would like to know what's an average day for you is like. What do you do?
My session starts at 4:30 in the morning. So... Yeah, so 4:30 until 6:37, and then again from second session is like 8:30 from 10:30, 11 again in the evening. So like Monday until Saturday we have the sessions, and in between like Wednesdays we get an evening off, and Sundays is off. So this is my schedule, overall schedule.
I'm Dinesh Khanna.
Well, both of you know who he is, but you know, to tell all of you, Dinesh Khanna was a national champion. He was India's best player for a very long... He ruled his era.
Asian champion.
Asian champion. He ruled his era. And I can tell you also, he was called, when I was a trainee sports reporter, he was called the returning machine. He returned everything that was thrown at him.
Hats off to both of you, Sindhu. You did the whole country proud, and Gopi, I think you had done a great job, a commendable job, and without your persistence and without your sacrifices, this wouldn't have been possible. It was a great day for Indian badminton. We were not expecting that you are going to get a medal, and I was...
Even I didn't expect that.
And in fact, I was...
She's so happy to prove you wrong.
I know. And I was most happy to be proved wrong. But I had also said, before the tournament, when I was asked by some channels or, you know, that she is somebody who's a giant killer and she is capable of upsetting anybody. But the only thing is that she has to weave that into a string, which she has been able to do this time.
Right.
Yes.
Earlier, she won 2 bronze medals in the World Championship. She beat 2 good players, but then couldn't go any further. And second time, the same thing happened. But you have overcome this, and I was so happy. I have never seen you so strong, so fit, and so fast on the court.
Thank you.
I was absolutely delighted.
You've given Fight Like a Girl a whole new meaning. So I think on behalf of young women, when we were growing up, when they said you fight like a girl, it used to be an insult. But I think you and Deepa and Sakshi have given that phrase a completely different meaning. Fight like a girl today has a very different meaning. So I think on behalf of all young women and old women like myself, thank you.
And we should telling all the boys now, fight
Yes.
like girls.
Fight like girls. I was just wondering, one heard a lot, Gopi, about how you actually had to encourage Sindhu to find her inner aggression, and how there was this moment when you actually had to tell her that, you know, listen, you've just got to stand on court and yell. And I just was wondering if you could talk a little bit about that, because to me that's very interesting, because women especially, you know, we're often discouraged in our society to be aggressive, and aggressive women is not considered a compliment, but I think an aggressive sportswoman...
That's why Barkha is never aggressive.
I'm always aggressive and proudly so, but I'd love to hear a little more about that moment.
Well, I think one is the saying, save the girl child should go, and it should be saved by the girl child. I think thanks to them today, we are actually happy for our pride is at least somewhat saved. I would say that I had a struggle to make her shout, because I would want her to shout and be aggressive, and then I would shout, and then she would have tears in her eyes but not shout. So there was like, we have 8 badminton courts, and then in the center court I would give a shuttle and say shout and hit, and she would like, that's the max she would get. And then after a little while, then I'm giving shuttles, and then I'm shouting, and there's like everybody on the rest of the courts has stopped playing, and they're just watching what's happening, because I'm really yelling and I'm saying you have to shout, and we are not going home. And she starts crying, she goes out, then she comes back, okay, I'll do it now. And then she comes back, but still it doesn't come out. And then I put some more shuttles, then she starts crying again. Then I just collect my shuttles back, and I'm saying, okay, when you're ready, you come back. And then finally, it so happened that she started to, and started to shout in practice. And that inhibition, once it's gone, then it's much better, because when you're under pressure, actually the shouting not only is about the opponent and trying to impose aggression, but also it actually relieves your internal feeling as well. So it's very important that you get it out, and that's what I wanted from her. And
so you took 2 months on one shot, which got 2 points, and it took how long to get her to teach her to shout? Because all teachers around the country tell their children wards not to shout. Other thing you did was, both of you gave this country a rare moment. When we saw a procession go through a city with people, stars on top of an open bus who are not cricketers. Kya, Bishan Paji? How often do we see that in India? So that's an inspirational moment. But I think we are all now hungry for many more, not just from you, but cast of characters around you. And I think we also look forward to the great rivalry between you and Saina. She's got competition and you've got competition. And Gopi, you've got a challenge at home as well now. So thank you very much. Gopi, this is our first conversation over a silver, next one over a gold, and maybe next one with a gold and silver. So there's a lot more to come. Thank you very much. It's been wonderful. You found time. This is your first public appearance. I know after this, you must be very tired, but you have to pay for your success. So thank you very much.